Okay, we're live.
Hi.
Hi. All right, guys. So thanks for joining us. Whoever's here live, whoever's here, it's a pop-up. So it happens unexpectedly. You don't always know when it's coming. We just kind of show up. So a lot of you are watching us on a recorded, video on YouTube. So welcome. Thank you for tuning in and watching and being here. I am Darling. You can find me at xoxdarling.com. I am an intuitive guide, certified theta healer, and amongst other things, up-leveling maven, the whole nine. So you can find me at xoxdarling.com, facebook.com/xoxdarling. On Facebook, I post for the Collective My Raw Mornings post. I just post intuitive guidance there. On xoxdarling.com, you can find one-on-one sessions. You can find intuitive guidance sessions, theta healing sessions, or a hybrid of both. So that's all there. There's an array of services ranging from just one-on-one sessions to couple sessions to full-on mentorships, one-on-one mentorships with me. So again, that's xoxdarling.com, and it's nice to meet you if I don't know you. And this is Susan.
Hi, I'm at susangrace.org. Sometimes every week whenever we pop up, I'm like, what's my website address? It's still susangrace.org. And I'm on social media under Susan Grace, where on Facebook and on Instagram, where I read the astrological energies for the collective every day. And then on my website under services, you can see my readings. I do natal chart readings. I do tune-ups for people who've had a natal chart reading for me before, where you need to get caught up on the transits where we are now. And I have intensives where it's 4 weeks in a row, where we look at we dive into your natal chart and your progress chart and the chart for your soul, and try and get you moving. Usually it's about looking at ancient woundings, but sometimes it's about merging into a new career or evaluating a relationship, all kinds of stuff that we dive into. And I'm having a 20% off sale right now for the eclipse season. So you'll see on my Facebook page that the discount code is on there, but it just, if you can remember it, it's just eclipse sale. Eclipse sale, one word, all caps, no spaces, and you can get 20% off all readings until March 1st. If you're joining us live, over down below, there's a chat button. The chat panel will pop out, and then right where you type your chat or your message or whatever, at the bottom, there's a pull-down menu. You can either do all panelists and attendees or just all panelists. If you do all panelists, then that just goes to Darlene and I, and we don't monitor that as closely because it'll get kind of buried in with the other chats. So choose all panelists and attendees so everybody can see what you're trying to say. And also there's a Q&A option at the bottom as well. If you have a question for us, if you'll post it in there, we'll be able to grab it for you at the end. And we'll answer questions if anybody's got any. How's it going, darling?
It's going, man.
Yeah.
It is, I want to say wavy. That's weird. That's the word that came up, like wavy, like just lots of waves. It feels like a lot of waves. So there's a lot of things coming up. And yesterday I posted online, I was like, watch your emotions. And it's so funny because I think it was 2 or 3 hours after I posted that, I fell for it. I was like, really, darling? You literally got this message this morning. You shared it with everybody and then you fall into the trap. But it's just really, a lot of things are bubbling up to the surface, and very, very much an eclipse nature. And we just I have to keep reminding myself, hey, sit with the emotion. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Don't project it. Don't point fingers about it. Don't make others feel like shit about it. You sit with your emotions and figure it out. Because whatever emotion's coming out right now, it's not superficial. It's nothing above level. It's all really, really, really deep below the surface.
God, I hate that. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it. I mean, I have not been watching my emotions at all. and I'm, like my emotions are completely valid in the moment. Nothing else matters, and like not taking the time to dig in and be like, am I triggered here? Is this old shit? Is this really about me, but I'm projecting it on other people? Not taking time to do any of that. And I feel like an idiot. I mean, like, we know better and we still do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We know better and we still do it. And during eclipse season, I say it every eclipse season, is pay attention to everything, but cling to nothing.
Right.
So even if you're going off about your emotions, pay attention to that. Or do you think that maybe in your everyday life, your emotions are ruling all the time and you're not digging into what they mean? I am. Yep. Ding. Pay attention to everything, cling to nothing. Why is this happening? About everything. You're going to get weird stuff in between eclipses. You're going to get messages through the radio. You're going to see signs that say, darling, darling, darling. And you're like, holy shit. Right. And I have an unusual name. You know what I mean? It's going to be like weird stuff.
It's weird that you mentioned that. There's like 3 people that have mentioned something about my name this week alone. I'm like, and then Facebook. Did you see that? I get flagged on Facebook by someone.
It's not your real name.
It's not my real name. I'm like,
always has been. When I met you, I remember when I met you, I was like, should I call you darling? And you're like, well, it's my name. So yeah.
Yes, I was speaking to a developer recently, which I'm having a lot of business communication, like conversations these days. And he's like, hi, darling. Like, as your name. Like, I mean, like your name. I'm like, well, I wouldn't expect it to be any other way, dude. Like, it's not even a term of endearment. Like, doesn't count. Use another one.
Yeah. So I was going to break down the astrology, but it's kind of long.
That's fine. I'm listening.
Okay. Pay attention. Okay, so eclipse window. One eclipse opens the door, the second eclipse closes it. In between, it's super wonky. I think it's interesting that you mentioned waves. Often I feel like it's like we've been pushed out to sea on a rowboat with no oars. Like, I don't know what's happening. Just set out to drift in no man's land. This one is feeling a little less choppy than sea this time. Like for this one, I feel like pushed out on a lake in a fog. Like, don't know. Okay, better not flail because I don't know which way is north. Right. But really the whole thing is set up with bookends. On one end is the new moon in Capricorn that happened 2 weeks ago. And then we won't be fully out of this until we get to the full moon after the second eclipse, 11 degrees Virgo. So the new moon in Capricorn sets the tone for all 4 weeks. And the tone at new moon Capricorn was a new moon in Capricorn where where there's a shift in control in our lives, right? And it was in a minor grand trine to Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio and Chiron in Pisces. So it's saying we're not in control of everything. We're just not. There are shifts happening in the world that are bigger than us. They're being triggered by outer planets. They're historic. They're the biggest shifts of our lives. We can't control it. We don't know how it's all going to go down. We don't know how it's going to play out. But we do have control on how we're going to respond to it. Emotional, water, Scorpio, Pisces. So Jupiter and Mars in Scorpio says, be willing to look at the truth. Don't run. Stay right here. The truth has a gift for you, Jupiter, and be willing to adjust your boundaries accordingly. And Chiron and Pisces, we are no longer in the suffering business. If something comes up and it looks like it's dark or it hurts or it's confusing or whatever, evaluate it. Know that it's there to be healed. It's not a haunting. It's here for you to clean it up. Clean up your karma. We're being released from karmic stories. Be willing to look at the truth. That's how you gain control in a shifting world. 2 weeks later, yesterday, full moon in Leo, 11 degrees, total lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses make us feel insecure about something. That we feel differently about something and therefore insecure. So it doesn't feel good. Lunar eclipses don't make us feel good at all. They make us feel like, Sun and Venus at the south node. So the moon was at north node Leo. North node means the general trajectory of our lives. This is every transit we're going through is pointing towards north node and Leo. That we must find our joy. We must be heart-led. We must find what lights us up and stay there. South node, this is where we don't want to fall into. You don't want to fall into the South node. South node Aquarius had Venus and Sun on it. That means there's a trap. There's a laid trap of you feeling like you could fall into sacrificing your joy for other people, places, ideas, concepts, letting your energy get hijacked. Okay, so it's a lunar eclipse saying something is not set up right. Something's not set up right, and it's robbing me of my joy. Depends on where it is in your chart, based on your sun sign and your rising sign. Okay. Now we have 2 weeks. 2 weeks of don't fall into the South node. Don't fall into thinking that my joy can be hijacked at any moment. That means don't blame outside people, places, ideas, concepts on not being happy. We're in control of our own joy. Feel it. If you're not living in your joy, something has to be adjusted, and it's not blame. You can't blame it on external things. You own your own sovereignty. I'm saying this, but I absolutely fell into the South node. I absolutely fell into it. I'm still in it. I'm like, oh shit, I did that wrong. Like you have to get into sovereignty, that your joy cannot be hijacked. Second eclipse in 2 weeks, February 15th, will be at 27 degrees Aquarius. Now we're in Aquarius, but it's not South node. It's a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses give us a new identity. It's like a defibrillator on your ego. It goes boom, and you're like a new person. It's sextiling into the galactic center. I think, my opinion, and I could be wrong, my opinion is that there's some kind of shift in control that's happening in our lives and in the collective, New Moon Capricorn, that's shifting us into having to gain our sovereignty and not let our energy be hijacked, and be willing to lock arms and build webs with people who hold the same beliefs that we do. So we're sovereign, we're free, we must be willing to stand up for what we truly believe in alliances with people that are on the same path as we are. And it could be anything. It could be artists, it could be community builders, it could be makeup artists, whatever the hell. Who are we most like? Be willing to lock arms with those people, but locking arms in sacred union, we've talked about this before, the foundation of it is sovereignty. Sovereignty. Sovereign in your own energy, so that whenever you engage with other people, it's by choice, it's by inspiration based on your true beliefs. That no matter what happens in the collective, even if the world is weeping, your energy cannot be hijacked. That you stand in for your true beliefs and what brings you joy and what matters in your life, what brings you inspiration, and you're locked up with other people who are on that same tone with you. Then we're not fully out of the eclipse season until we get to the full moon in Virgo at 11 degrees Virgo. That means we're going to make it land. So the whole concept is, in a shifting world, we gain control on how we respond to it. We're sovereign in our own joy and what brings us inspiration. Through sacred union, we have common purpose, and our beliefs literally dictate the reality of our lives. Virgo, we make it land. That's all I got.
That's everything. No, it is. Like, that's, well, you know this. That's exactly how I feel about the whole thing. Except I don't know the astro behind it, of course. But that's exactly it. I feel like I've been talking a lot about mastery and mastering the self, and I'm going to continue to talk about mastering the self. My mentorship is closed. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not about the mentorship. This is literally about just people knowing how important it is to master yourself and what that means. You know, what that means is, like you said, it's being able to be sovereign in your emotion, that when something happens, when something brings up an emotion, when something comes up, that your first reaction is always to go within before you go out. Always. And I'm not saying this coming from some kind of pedestal, like I'm like queen of this. It's really hard. This is not easy. You know what I'm saying? Self-mastery is not easy. But it's what is really being asked of us. And this, you know, we started off with this lunar eclipse, and it's exactly that. It's like prepping us almost. It's almost like, here's the first wave of that. Here's where this is starting. And it's starting with your emotions. why? We have to ask ourselves, like, strategically speaking, right? Because based on how our universe is laid out, I mean, as above, so within, and all the little intricacies of our bodies, even clearly, the meditator, the creator, whatever you want to call it, the universe is strategic as fuck. Okay. Super strategic. So we have to ask ourselves, like, why did this year start off the way it started off?
That's what I say.
Lunar eclipse, because this is where everything starts. This is where everything begins. It all begins with mastering our emotions. You know, I saw someone post on Facebook a really interesting question, and I was reading the answers, and I'm like, is this really, this is really like something that people struggle with. They weren't making the connection. The question was, what is more powerful, your emotions, your feelings, or your thoughts? I'm like, what? And so my answer to that is, I mean, I would say feeling, I would say emotion, because we cannot control thoughts from coming to us. Okay, we can't control. I'm sick and tired of people talking about, well, control your thoughts, and people thinking that it's like literally you have a bad thought, you're fucked. Like, that's not what this is. Bad thoughts are going to come in. Your insecurities are going to come in. Things are going to come into your head. And the very first thing to do, if we are sovereign and we have control, is to let that thought, that's with the same way that it came in, float itself out. If it's a negative thought, let it float out. If we don't do that, then it becomes an emotion. So the answer is emotion, because by the time it's an emotion, you've already given power to the thought, enough power to the thought for it to become an emotion. It's already had its very first manifestation, if you will. And then from there goes you creating whatever the heck that emotion creates, whatever that thought creates, you know, mastering this, having, like, knowing this, knowing how it works, knowing the power behind these emotions is important to self-mastery. So you're not just going around vomiting on everybody. You know, we can't build what we're trying to build like that.
Yeah, and I agree. That's how I read. Every time I'm reading any kind of chart, I'm always like, why? Why is this here?
Yes.
Why? It's not accidental. And so
that's what I like about your readings, actually.
And so if we really think about it beyond the eclipse, that we have shifts that are happening in the world in the next 4 months that are going to change everything. And we talked about this before we started recording today, that we've noticed that a lot of people are being taken down physically by illness or accident or inconvenience or whatever. Everybody, hang on a second. I'm feeling like we're in the middle of a purge. Purge yourself from your karmic story. Purge yourself from your victimhood. Purge yourself from the bag of shit that you carry all the time and think you just have to endure it. You don't. You don't have to endure it. We can heal. We can heal ourselves out of confusion and pattern and pain. We can heal ourselves out of it. We can heal ourselves well. And so first people are being downed in order to purge, but then also when the whole world is about to shift, the North Node is in Leo. The North Node, that means every transit is speaking to the North Node. That's how it works. The North Node is in Leo while the whole world is changing. This is a deeply personal focus.
Yep.
When the whole world is changing in ways that we don't have any say in, there's the greater force of life is at play. Energies that are way bigger than us are at play. Historic shifting that we haven't seen in hundreds of years is happening in a moment, within 5 months, all being triggered at the same time. And our focus should be our own joy. Why?
Yep.
Why? It's got to be because we can't fall susceptible to outside things trying to demand how we're going to feel. When they say, you better be afraid and you need us to remain in control, we have to go, no, I'm not going to be afraid. When they say, you all need to start fighting each other, we have to go, no, we're not going to.
Right.
We have to hold on to How do we feel? What brings us joy? And joy, I don't mean mania. I don't mean euphoria. I mean joy. And joy might be like, where is my joy going to be found today? My joy is going to be found today in ending this fight. I'm going to figure out what is going on here, what's going on in our dynamics so that we can heal and we can become closer together rather than further apart. And that's going to bring me joy today. That's joy. It can mean anything. Reach for what lights you up, what inspires you, what makes you want to try.
Mm-hmm.
That's joy. Always reaching for it, not falling into outside others, bigger concepts, mechanisms of control. The collective, when the collective has gone astray, the collective goes astray a lot.
Oh yeah, especially these days.
And we have to hold on to, does this make sense to me or does it not? Does this light me up or does it put me down into a hole? If it's putting me down into a hole, something's wrong.
Yep.
So in the middle of big changes, we have to hold on to what is going to light me up about this and what is not.
Yeah, I have found myself, I don't know if you've felt the same, especially the last couple of days, weeks, maybe, where I'll be mistakenly scrolling through my timeline. And yeah, like I don't like to do that. And, like just scrolling through the timeline and I'll see like this, bickering over these mundane, is that how you say that? Mundane, things. And where I used to be really fired up about it, I'm just like, no, I'm not going to sit here and continue this finger pointing and continue this. Well, you're this and you're that. Okay. Well, you're this and you're that. Oh my God. And I don't know the solution. I don't know what to replace it with, but I'm not touching it.
I don't know what's going. I honestly, I don't know the answer to this but I'm noticing it. I'm noticing that triggers are running like wildfire. I mean, like ancient stuff. I got taken down pretty hard by the flu. And when I went down, when I was in the middle of purging during the flu, like really old stuff, like memories of what happened to me when I was 5, and not good memories. Memories of memories from whenever I was 5. They showed me a scene from my own funeral, like all like gnarly, like sludgy stuff coming up to be moved off.
Yep.
And I feel like there's a purging of old karmic stories, and that makes everybody trigger happy, like really trigger. I mean, even on my own wall, where people are triggered by something I said, and I didn't even say it. I didn't even say what they're triggered about. I'm like,
right.
What? I don't even know how to respond because I didn't say that.
Right. Like, how did you get that out of it?
It's in writing. Look above. Read it again. I didn't say that. So people are looking. People are looking for triggers.
Well, I think it's just turned to the point where they've refused to do exactly what we're talking about today. Refused to go within to address themselves, to stand in their sovereignty, to do what they have to do within themselves. That the hologram is only showing them that. Like, no, you're going to look at it. No, you're going to see it. So everywhere they look is their trigger. Everywhere. And it's because they're still busy looking outward rather than going within and healing that trigger.
I think that's South Node. I think it's the South Node on this eclipse. There's a very real hole that you can fall into of being so detached that you turn cold and you're not willing to look at what's happening behind your emotions.
Exactly.
What is really happening behind your emotions?
Because it's easier to be like, oh,
it is easier. And I'm not saying like this is easy. I'm like, I'm falling into it too. And I'm like, dude, I am way detached from what's happening with my emotions right now, because I'm not understanding that it's about things that are underneath the surface.
Mm-hmm. I had some old shit come up the other day in a dream, and that's how I usually how things pop up for me, are in dreams. I had this crazy dream. So I had a friend last night, put me through a meditation, which brings me to the next point. I do theta healing. That's what I do. So I dig and I dig and I dig with people and I heal it at the very core, and it is great. And I needed to reach out to someone.
God. Okay. Tell it. Tell it.
Like, yep. Stop trying to do this shit yourself.
Yes.
if you don't know where this is coming from, or you don't know what to do with it,
go get a session, please.
Get a session.
Yes.
Like I had to, he only took me so far because we have different modalities, but he took me exactly to where I needed to go to be like, okay, got it. I know what to do with this now.
Right.
Now I can do it. Mm-hmm. Even as a healer, I needed someone to dig with me so that I can heal it myself. Mm-hmm. Like, really, we need each other, which is just segueing into all, like, this is exactly what we were just talking about. It's strategically happening so we could A, master who we are, our emotions, and the whole nine, and B, learn how to lock arms, like you said, how to lock arms.
Yeah, but let's be clear about this, okay? Because it's very easy to fall into victim stories or being flooded in emotions, getting caught up in, because remember, we led this whole season with New Moon and Capricorn that's feeding into Jupiter and Mars and Scorpio and Chiron and Pisces. We can fall into victim stories. We can fall into paranoia. We can fall into trying to control by controlling how other people feel instead of our own emotions.
Exactly.
So we have to be really careful about this. We cannot lock arms with other people and go, I'm triggered and you're going to be my therapist now. Whoa, 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 whoa. We can't let triggers lead. When we say lock arms and go get a session from somebody who's unbiased, who can hold space for you. Like I can't, if I'm triggered, darling, if you trigger the shit out of me, I can't go, you're triggering me, sit down and listen to me cry about it. You have to be like, hang on a second. Hang on. Well, how about you go get a session first and then we can talk. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We can't say, like, people do it on my wall. Like, you're triggering me. I'm like, didn't mean to. I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Like, we can't take our triggers out on each other. Yep. And it's easy to, because if you trigger me, my first reaction is you're doing something to me. This is something that has something to do with Darling. Maybe it has nothing to do with Darling.
Well, it likely doesn't. The real question behind the statement, you're triggering me, is why are you being triggered? That's the real question.
Right.
That's just it. That's it. It has nothing to do with what did I do to trigger you? No. Why are you being triggered? Period.
Right. Because whatever Darlene just said to me to trigger me, she could say the same thing to somebody else and it would go right over their heads.
Right.
So why is it triggering me?
Right. So I could stop doing what I'm doing that triggers you, but bet your bottom dollar the next person over is going to do it again.
I'm about to be triggered again. Yep.
So how is that helping you? Lashing out on, you know what I'm saying? Lashing out on the person that triggered you. So there's that.
Yeah. This happens every eclipse season. Every eclipse season leading up to it, I have the disclaimer of, listen, I won't know until we get in it. Because the eclipses are the bringers of change. It brings change that you need, but you didn't see coming. And it's change that's bigger than you. Something is coming for you. And I don't mean like a boogeyman. I mean like there's like a shift. Like, hey, yo, you're off track. And something is taking you and shifting your rowboat in another direction. And it's emotion-based. This is about the moon. Something about the way that you feel about your life. It leads into a new identity. Something is shifting you. Why? Why? Every time we get closer to eclipse season, I say it every time. I think I've got this figured out, and then I don't. And then I don't have it figured out. You cannot know what this is going to do until you get into it. And so whenever you're going through your life and you're being triggered all over the place, make sure you have your 911 list. I've got my 911 list. Whenever I start to go down, I have my list of people that I go to every time and say, can you please hold space for me? Because I can't see my own shit. Get your 911 list, get a session, and be willing to have yourself pushed into another direction. Let it take you where it wants to take you. You're in the hands of something bigger than you.
Yep, I just posted on the chat because I wanted to make sure if anybody had any questions, you know, we won't be in Q&A for long, but if you do have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box. That way we can answer some, because we won't see it in the chat. It'll keep scrolling.
Right. So So within the eclipse window, whenever you're being triggered all over the place, everyone needs to keep in mind that we're all in the eclipse window.
Right.
Everyone. It's not just you. So if you feel like super wonked out, super triggered, you're having to go get sessions, you don't know what the hell is happening, there's lots of confusion, lots of breakdown, communication isn't right, you're not understanding each other. Listen, everyone's like that. So we all need to let each other off the hook. Everyone needs to just stop.
Everybody calm down.
Up. Everybody calm down.
Yeah. That's something. I mean, listen, your ex-boyfriend, your ex-husband, your ex-wife is also in the eclipse. You know, all these people are also in the eclipse season. So let's not forget, that.
Yeah, and let's remember that this eclipse in particular, both Sun and Venus are on the South Node, where you don't want to fall into. Exes are coming back. I'm sorry, they just are. Maybe just in your head, okay? But the old wounds around exes are flared up. And it's South Node. You don't want to fall into it. Don't go, and now my whole life is hijacked by this ex. No, don't fall into it.
Ask yourself why it's there.
Why is it there? What needs to be cleaned up? How is that residue, that soot, that sludge around that ex, that past, that old pain, how is that blocking your current joy? Yep. Moon at North Node Leo.
Yes. Reach. No, I mean, I've seen it so much. Like, it's been happening left and right. I mean, you get an ex. You get an ex.
Yeah. Bring them all up.
It's raining exes.
I mean, I'm seeing exes' faces on current people. Like, not literally.
Oh my God, help me.
Not literally. but it's just like, I'm having reactions to things that aren't happening in real time.
Yes.
And it's confusing. Like, I'm in the shower going, what is actually happening? Me in the shower. I swear I'm a lunatic in the shower. If I ever live with someone again, they're going to be like, oh, it's shower time. Wow.
You in the shower? Like, I swear, between that and what happened to you the other day in the shower?
There's sometimes when I'm glad I live alone. I'll just say it real quick. My shower door, which is on a hinge. My shower door is on a hinge. It's not a sliding door. My hinged shower door got stuck. And I was in it when it got stuck. And I'm trying to shove it open, and it's glass. So I'm like, well, if I shove much harder, I'm gonna get cut. And so I could only kick it so many times before I thought for sure I'm about to really hurt myself, and I don't have health insurance. And so I had to climb over my shower wall naked. Nobody needs to see that, darling. Nobody needs to see that.
You told me that, and I just about died. Hilarious. I have a very vivid imagination. So, like, when people are talking to me, I can like play it all out. So like when you're telling me like, oh, in the shower, I'm like thinking I see exes. So like the way it plays out like a movie scene, like with effects and everything in my head. So hilarious.
The maintenance guy came to fix my shower door, and I told Sam the story. He wasn't here at the time. I told Sam the story. And he's like, when the maintenance guy comes, don't you tell him you did that. That's embarrassing. And he's 10. He's 10 years old. And I'm like, just for that, he's Capricorn rising. And I'm like, you can't be the boss of me. You're 10. And so whenever the maintenance guy got here, I sure as shit told him. I'm like, I was in the shower when it got stuck. And he's like, no way. He started laughing. And my Capricorn rising 10-year-old was like, why did you say that? Why did you say that?
No, Mom, no. That's not the way to go.
Anyway.
All right.
What do you do? How about, we're both in relationships. What do you do whenever the other person's triggered? It's going to be shitty if you go, you need a session. They're going to be like, fuck you too. You know
yeah. What I mean? Relationships are so fucking weird because like, yeah, it's different. You're in it with this person. Like you're in it. So this isn't a Facebook post that you could just be like, well, you're fucking triggered. See ya. You can't block this person.
Why? That's absolutely how I've been doing it. I'm like, yeah, never mind. I'm out. I'm out.
Oh, well, me too. But I mean, listen, not engaging, I feel like it might be initially. Here's how I feel. I could be wrong, but here's how I feel about it. For as long as the person is still projecting and spewing things based on projections, I'm not listening.
Man,
Later.
I'll talk to you later.
We will talk later. When they're ready to kind of see things objectively, they're being able to see things from a different perspective when they're not all in there, then we can sit down and look at this objectively, but not while they're projecting.
I prefer it. Whenever I'm projecting, I feel like, don't listen to me.
Leave me alone.
Don't listen to me.
Right.
I'm not making sense. Don't listen to me. You know what I mean? Like,
because if you engage with me, you're just enabling me.
It's just going to make it worse. Yeah. So we shouldn't go around saying you need a session.
Not to our partners, no.
I don't think so.
All of you out there.
I don't think so either.
But to all of you out there who are with a partner and you are flipping out, you need a session. Your partner won't tell you, but I will.
I think I told you on Facebook how I'd already fallen down about.
Yeah, you didn't tell me details, but you did tell me.
I know. You're like, you can call me. And I'm like, nah, she just told me I need a session. That's what she said.
Accurate. Yep. Yeah. But that's definitely, while everything is in reactive mode, you ain't going to get shit done. Step back. But once you can come together, all right, how can I help you? What are you really feeling? Why? When was the last time you felt that way? So on and so forth.
Yes. Is this something that has happened before? Have you felt this way before?
Right. And for some of us that we, if we know the person well enough, or we know their story well enough, there are times that I see it clearly, like for myself, of course, but for the other person, where it's like, you're feeling this way because your ex put you through this specific situation that I remember that your ex put you through, that you told me she put you through, and you told me that it made you feel this way. And right now you're feeling like that, but that's not the case. Mm. And when they're able to see it, like when I lay it out for them like that, it's like, oh, it's most of the time. But again, you have to talk when it's ready.
Yeah, it's both. We can't let triggers lead and take it out on each other and expect, like, your spouse is not your therapist, right? But we are still partners. Like, right. when you can be like an adult, and listen, I'm talking to myself here. I'm the one who's a big fat fucking kid whenever I get all emotional, like, it's about me, like, and sometimes I can get really cold and mean too. And I don't like that. I need to learn to shut the fuck up. And so whenever, like, you're like, you can't do that. But when I can be an adult and get my shit straight, we do need in our partnerships to talk through, like, how can I be an ally to you right now?
Right. Exactly. And a really good, something that I was taught that works out well too. Before, when you're still like, let's retreat, let's give this let's kind of, then talk to each other, have your higher self talk to his higher self. Send him unconditional love and peace and light and serenity and guardian angels and whatever you want to send them. Send that from your higher self to his higher self. And that's going to prime the situation to get ready to be resolved, because it's just automatically,
Speaking of, I was thinking about you the other day. Can you talk about what you do whenever you work with couples?
Okay. Yeah. So with couples, it depends. So there's the individual session. So when we had a problem, you know, we need a session with Darling. So I do exactly what I just said. You know, we want to make sure that everybody is in a steady, like spiritually, like I shouldn't say spiritually, energetically leveled. So if it's not already there, I get it there. And I am the one who facilitates this conversation to be like, okay, when was the last time that you felt? Okay, so you feel this way. I dig on both people with them there. You see, traditional therapy likes to have one session with the couple, and then after that, it's couples individually. I feel like that removes, I mean, therapy is therapy. That's, y'all don't replace, you know, like,
yeah, you're not a therapist. We got it.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
But the way that I like to do it is to bring the vulnerability. Yeah, let's talk about why you really feel this way so that this person understands it. And okay, hey, do you understand now? Do you understand that person better? Because it never made sense to me how I can go to therapy and yeah, I can work out my stuff and this and that, but my partner has no idea what happens in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So has no idea to have that thought that's like, oh, I remember that this does this to her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what the sessions are like. And then I do the pre-union pre-union healing. And so that's kind of like premarital counseling, but in our way of doing it. And that's kind of like a series, like a group. It's almost like a mentorship with the couple before they decide to get married or have a union. We get all the shit out of the way, as much as we can out of the way, the most pressing issues, because you don't want to bring that. You know, you're uniting with this person, you're merging your energy with this person, you're doing life with this person. You want to make sure that it starts out in the best place where you can start out where you are, you know, depending on where you are in your life now.
Yeah, because marriage will amplify whatever issues you've got before. Yeah,
marriage or even living with them will do it. So, yeah,
awesome.
That's what I do. And then, you know, there's some theta healing involved. So there may be a time where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to book a separate theta healing with this person alone. That's different. That's like a one-on-one meditation. And that usually happens in the pre-union because they're longer. So I have different sessions with each of them. So
that theta healing is a fucking miracle.
I love it so much.
Yeah. You gave me a session. I didn't even ask you. You're just like, I think you need a theta healing. I'm like, all right. And I didn't even know what it was.
You're like, I got to put it in 20 minutes. I'm like, I just need 10.
10 minutes. Yep. But it's like, I didn't know what it was. So that it was not even an option on the table of whether or not I believe in it. I was just like, yeah, sure. Whatever. And it actually is you going up into a higher level to heal a wounding at the higher octave level. And then it rains down onto us on how we are as incarnated people. Yeah.
And you feel it like in your body, it like physically. That's probably the biggest things that my clients, and I've been doing this and it still amazes me, you know, when they come to me and they're like, I physically feel this way. Yeah. One of my clients just yesterday she called it emotional lipo. She's like, I feel 20 pounds lighter physically. Aww. I don't understand. Mm-hmm. And like, you feel everything physically. And my favorite thing too is when they start, because you heal it at the root, you're not healing just the trigger. You're going all the way down to the root. So when we do that, they start to realize, this is my favorite effect of it, is that they start to moving forward when they are acting as they would in that wounded self. They're able to be like, why am I doing this? There is no root reason anymore. It's no longer second nature to them. They're literally catching up on like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Like, it's almost like my body does it automatically. Fuck that. I'm not doing that.
It's a habit. It's a habit.
They start realizing these habits and then they start picking up on it as soon as, because it no longer feels natural because the root's not there. It no longer feels natural. It's freaking beautiful. It's the best. It's seriously the best.
It really is. I mean, for real, like legitimately, I was like, oh, I don't even know what you did, but whatever it is, it worked.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love doing it. Love doing it. We have a question.
Okay.
We have one question. Any tactics or approaches for when the ex decides to boomerang back around? I'm too old for this shit.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all too old for this shit?
even I'm too old for this shit.
Here's my take on it. Because I've fallen into the trap of exes before, to my detriment. That people who are in the past get to live in the past. That's where they live.
You stay there.
Let them stay there. Go home. Go home. that it's over for a reason. It's over for a reason. That contract severed for a reason. It ran its course. Let it stay that way. Of course, if it's coming back around to highlight something that you haven't cleaned up yet, yeah, clean it up. But re-engaging and being like, let's go back over the entire relationship together and consider whether or not we should be together. Oh, fuck no. Nope. Nope. Shut it down.
Well, what's happening is we tend, like we spoke about earlier, we tend to make it about the person. It's not about the person. When they come back, how does that make you feel? What are you feeling right now? And why?
Yeah,
and that's where you go.
If you had it all the way cleaned out, if an ex came back around, you'd be like, "Oh, how's it going? What's up?"
Exactly.
Life is great.
All right.
See ya. Yeah. And that's it. It wouldn't be like, "Oh my God," you know what I mean?
Right. How are you feeling? How did that make you feel? What are the thoughts that are lingering? What are the dreams that are happening? That's what you have to see. You could send them off on their merry way.
That's right.
But you need to realize, you need to focus on what are you feeling and why.
And let's talk about safety too, okay? Like relationships that ended because they were very painful, that they put you in danger, that they hurt your kids, or like you had to call the cops, any of that shit. If it's coming back around, don't fall into the trap of, oh, let's try this again. Okay? Protect yourself.
Yeah.
If something hurts, you don't have time for it. We're not in the suffering business anymore. If it hurts, something's wrong. Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. Mm-hmm. Like if it's meant for you, it will come with ease and it will make you exalted.
Right.
It makes you feel like shit. No. Lose my number.
Yeah.
Lose my number.
If you're unsure about it, if you're if you have that gut feeling, listen to yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're hurt about it, if you have feelings of grief around it, if it's just haunting you, if it's any of that, you have to deal with it within. It has not, you let that person go on their merry way.
And sovereignty in your joy, the eclipse, sovereignty in your joy. Nobody gets to come in here and hijack my joy. Nope. Right.
Yep.
Nope. Lose my number. We have to be bodyguards to ourselves. Mm-hmm. We have to be energetic protectors of ourselves. Nobody's going to come in here and shit in my living room.
Right. There's an ancient text in the Bible that says, guard your heart. Mm-hmm. Guard your heart. Accurate. Accurate. Yeah, you have to guard it.
Do we have another question?
We do. It's the same person. Spent the last 2 months cutting the shit out of this, detaching, not engaging in the story, bringing it all back to self-love, and not allowing to be looted from. I have zero interest in engaging with the drama, but the 8 weeks felt like an addict coming off drugs. Guys, it's going to take time. There are layers and layers to this shit. And to get to the root of it, you still have all of this. It takes time. It takes, I wouldn't say time as much as it takes layers, right? So it might just have to keep going, but the person itself, if you continue engaging, which I think she said she's not, so that's good. If you were to continue engaging, then you're just going to perpetuate that, because you're just rolling in it. But if you're not engaging in it, then dedicate yourself to getting to the bottom of that, to getting really to the bottom of it. Okay, so you cut cords, fine. But there's a reason why you're feeling the way you're feeling. There's a reason why you're still feeling attached.
Man, and I am an advocate for understanding that you are not broken. Your heart is not broken. It's the story that broke. The story broke. Don't try and mend the story back to what you want it to be. Life
Right.
is what it is. Don't resist what is. If it's over, it's over. That's the reality. Don't fall into, but this is the story I want it to be. Well, too bad.
Yep.
Let the story break. Let the story break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if it's meant to happen, like you said, down the line or whatever, it's going to be a new story.
That's right. It's not going to be the same story.
It's not going to be a continuation of the old story. Right. It should be a new story. If it's a continuation of the old story, you just got tricked.
Yep. You got tricked.
You just got tricked. Yeah. Okay. So I think we are good to go. Are we?
Yeah. I love talking with you.
I know. Me too.
Thank you, everybody who came today. We had a lot of people this time. And thank you to everybody who's here for the recording. Like, all time is now, so you've been with us too. Really appreciate you being here.
You're listening to it exactly when you need to.
Mm-hmm. Where can they find you?
You can find me at xoxdarling.com. I've been considering reopening some spots for the mentorship in February. So okay. That might happen. But you can
people can message you too if they're interested in doing it, right?
In doing the year-long mentorship, which is, hanging on with me for the whole year, getting guided healing, theta healing, intuitive guidance, the whole 9 for the year. That's going on. My self-alchemy mentorship, the 6-week mentorship, is always open. So that one is, just one-on-one, you and I, going back through the layers, going back through the story, and healing it all the way through. So that's that. And then, of course, you have my couple sessions, my individual sessions, and all of that at xoxdarling.com. If you go to the tab at the top, it says sessions, and I think there's one, or offerings. I can't remember because I just changed it. But yeah, explore the website. And how about you?
I'm at susangrace.org under services. You'll see my readings. I do natal chart readings, tune-ups for people who have been with me before, and intensives. Intensives are 4 weeks with me. A lot of people keep renewing the intensives. Like I have people who've been in the intensive for years. They just add another 4 and add another 4 and add another 4. So there's endless amount of work that we can do in those, digging deep into all of the charts for you. So it's a natal chart and progressed and the chart for your soul. Sometimes we do relocation charts and we do solar returns, just wherever it takes us. All readings are 20% off for the Eclipse sale. The discount code is Eclipse sale. The Eclipse season. The code is Eclipse sale. All caps, no spaces. 20% off until March 1st. And then on Facebook and Instagram, I'm under Susan Grace, and I read the energies for the collective every day, pretty close to every day. I was sick, so I was out a day for that one, but pretty close to every day. So I'll be walking the collective through the energies all the time, but especially during the eclipse season, to let everybody know kind of what's happening in real time. Love talking with you, darling.
I love talking with you always.
Yeah, this is fun. How about we do it again on the next moon?
Yeah, let's do it again on the next moon.
Okay.
It's a date.
Bye.
Bye.